What's going on, Wolfpack? I am recording episode 22 on New Year's Eve. So I want to say Happy New Year to each and every one of you. I hope you have a amazing 2026, and I'm really excited to share this episode with you. It was a good one, a little tough at times. I share some personal stuff with you, some personal struggles, and how I got through them in 2025. So successes, failures, setbacks, and lessons learned in 2025. Also, how to redirect negative thoughts and negative energy towards something more productive. Some books and podcasts I listened to this year, New Year's resolutions, and why you should stop making them, and what you should do instead of making resolutions to achieve your health and fitness goals. So, before I get into the episode, I want to remind you guys that my books, Awareness Before Action and Skate Lift Recover, are both available on Amazon. The links are in the show notes, so please go and check them out. Get yourself one. Let me know what you think. And also, please rate and review them for me so I can know how you liked them. And also, please follow and rate the podcast and share it with your friends, family, and colleagues. And before I get into the episode, I want to make it known that this podcast is separate from my teaching and research roles at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. All right, let's get into today's episode. Enjoy, guys. What's up, Wolfpack? Hopefully, your 2026 is getting off to a great start. So, with this episode, I kind of wanted to be a little bit more of a bonus episode. I wasn't really planning on it, but had a lot of free time and just wanted to write down and record some thoughts and unpack my 2025 with you. It was definitely a pretty crazy year, and share with you kind of what I have going on for next year in 2026. And I do want to talk about New Year's resolutions a little bit. So, in the beginning, the first half of this episode, I'm going to be sharing some pretty personal stuff with you guys, getting pretty vulnerable with you guys. And this is stuff I haven't really spoken about very much other than with, a few close people. And I've only talked about it once publicly on another episode that I was on with one of my friends, and we didn't go into that much detail. So, but it's a part of my journey. All the setbacks and failures I experienced in 2025 are all shaping me and my future and my career and my personal life and everything. And it's very important. It's difficult for me to talk to anybody and have more than a superficial conversation without it coming up. So just want to share it with you and get it out there, obviously respectfully. And I'm going to only share information that affects me directly, just to be respectful to the whole thing. So um, let's kind of get into it. So 2025 was a fantastic year. It was really awesome. I'm going to share a lot of the successes that I had throughout the year with you guys here in a little bit. But the beginning of the year was not like that. Um, it was filled with failure, setbacks, lessons learned, a lot of emotional trauma, guilt, shame, just about every negative emotion you could think of. That's how I started my year. So I started it off with divorce, basically. I was in a very long relationship, had its ups and downs, had a lot of really great times, and also a lot of really bad times. And unfortunately, New Year's Day, maybe a couple days after that, was really where it kind of started to fall apart, and it kind of happened really, really quickly. Um, and I ended up moving to a different area of Las Vegas, probably on a week before the semester started, and it was awful. It was just absolutely awful. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I lost 10 pounds of unintentional weight loss in less than a month. I don't wish that on anybody. But unfortunately, it's just kind of a reality um, in life, is that around 50% of marriages end in divorce. So it's just it's really difficult to to deal with, and it was difficult to deal with, and it was a very challenging year. But I want to share with you guys a lot of the things that I learned and the coping strategies and everything to help me get through it. Whether or not you're dealing with the same thing as me, everybody's dealing with something in their life. So there's I've yet to meet a person who isn't struggling with something very, very deeply. Um, so hopefully some of these coping strategies can help you out as well, just as much as they've helped me out. And I'm sharing this with you because health and fitness is a big part of it, is a really, really big part of it. Um, if you're not healthy, if you're not fit, that's just adding more stress to the whole situation in whatever you're dealing with in your own life. So, yeah, so January I got back into school, into the semester, and it was so hard to keep it together. A lot in class, it helped a lot. Being around other people, being focused on the end goal and getting through the degree and getting through this next semester and all that helped a lot. But I'll be honest with you, it was extremely difficult. And even around the holidays this year was extremely difficult, even around other people, to just keep it together and to just not let my emotions get the best of me and to stay focused on the task at hand and do what needed to be done in that moment to continue on, every day. So, um, so I got through this semester. It wasn't easy, but there were a lot of really, really good things that came out of it. Definitely the hardest semester of my entire life. I've never had to deal with anything that strenuous while in school for a degree and having all this other stuff on top of it. But some of those coping strategies I already mentioned was being around people. When I'm by myself, that is when things tend to just get really bad, and I ruminate on a lot of things, past, future. I've learned throughout my life that if you're worrying about the future, it's anxiety. If you're ruminating about the past, it's depression. It's either one of those two constantly. Whenever I'm by myself. So, and it's difficult to deal with, but I have coping strategies for that as well. But just being around people, man, being around people, being in the gym. My God, I go to the gym for an hour, be around people, and instantly feel better. It's like all the worries kind of vanish a little bit. Sometimes they don't always. Sometimes I find myself ruminating, during the workout or whatever. But always whenever I'm around people, whether it's coaching or working out, that I instantly feel better. And the fitness classes I've been going to, I started the 6 a.m. classes over at Camp Rhino in Henderson. And, if any of you guys are listening, I absolutely love you guys. The friendliest, greatest people you can ever ask for to be around, and whether or not you're dealing with a difficult situation, just go to class and you leave the gym feeling better every single time. no matter what kind of day you're having. So just remember that, for whatever struggles you might be having in your life. If you're finding yourself alone, struggling with your thoughts or whatever, just get outside, go somewhere, go to a gym class, go to a coffee shop, go food shopping, just be around people. Just be around people. Give yourself an opportunity to speak with somebody. I guarantee you, it'll make you feel better. Also, hockey. I really re-immersed myself into hockey a lot this year. I've been involved with a couple veterans hockey groups out here that have been absolutely awesome. If you're following me on social media, the tournaments I've been going to, that was all through either Vegas Veterans Hockey Foundation, Battleborn Veterans Hockey, or Las Vegas Warriors Hockey. They're all three fantastic organizations here in Vegas, and hockey has a way of really bonding people. And I've been playing since I was 5 years old in Chicago, so the sport's always been around my life, and I love it. Once I see the ice rink, I just kind of light up inside, and everything just seems to be better. It doesn't matter who I'm playing with. And it seemed like that I did a tournament in St. Louis in February, and that couldn't have come at a better time. That was, God, maybe a week or two after the divorce was finalized, and I needed to get away. And that was my freaking birthday weekend too, February 12th through 14th. If I was by myself that weekend, that would have been I don't know. But thank you guys. Thank you for that tournament, and thank you for everybody that was involved in that tournament, because that really kind of helped propel my mentality out of this negative dark hole into productivity, basically. It really helped a lot. There were a couple other tournaments throughout the year. There was a third line hockey tournament later on. I think was that August or something like that? Yeah. But later on in the year, that was an absolute blast. That was here in Las Vegas, where we just played 5 games in 2 days. I posted about that one on my Instagram a little while ago. That was just awesome. And then I just got back from a tournament in Tampa Bay with the Las Vegas Warriors too. And that was great. We placed second. Our other team placed first. It was just all around a really awesome tournament. And all the pickup skates I've been doing with, there's another group called Baker Boys Hockey up in Summerlin, where I used to live, and it's City National Arena, and I still love playing with those guys. I go and play with them whenever I can. But hockey, man, that really helped me this year. So once again, if you're struggling, find an activity. All right. And hockey is a very strenuous sport. Great physical activity, great workout as well. Find some sort of physical activity that will get you out of the house, that will get you around other people, and keep you healthy, throughout hard times as well. So, and there were a lot of other things that helped me through the whole process. So I really focused on this idea of redirecting my negative energy and emotional pain towards things that were more productive. So when you're feeling all these thoughts, this pain, everything that's going on, you can kind of just let it sit in there and let it fester, or you can redirect it in a different way, even if it's through thinking, through writing, through movement. It's all energy, and redirecting it to a different purpose. So after I got through that semester, as you might be aware of already, I wrote and published my second book called Awareness Before Action. And I had 5 weeks in summer session 1, where there was absolutely nothing going on. No classes, no teaching, nothing. And I had the idea for this book for a long time. So I just dug into it, made the outline, wrote the whole thing, and published it in 5 weeks. So that was pretty much every single day, writing multiple hours, just getting it done. And I was still kind of, having a really tough time around that time, but just being immersed into thinking and writing like that for hours at a time, my mentality shifted like I've never felt it before. I felt a renewed sense of purpose. Everything felt smooth. You probably heard of the state of flow. I was in flow a lot. Like I wasn't thinking about the past or the future, nothing. I was just thinking about writing and getting that task done. And I'm really happy with how the book turned out. And it really helped me. And the writing never fails to focus my mind into a good place, and effectively deal with my life struggles. So I journal a lot too. Throughout the whole process, this last year, 2 years, as I've really like struggled, through the marriage and getting past the divorce and everything like that, I filled up damn near 2 journals worth of writing. Just a lot of writing. And I tell you what, too, every time you write and you journal and you get those ridiculous, just convoluted thoughts out onto paper, and it's like you don't have to worry about them again. You can access them again by looking at them whenever you need them, but just getting them out of your head and onto paper, it is probably one of the best stress relievers I've ever witnessed in my entire life. You don't need to be a good writer. You don't need to, publish a book. You don't need to be a best-selling author. Just write. Who cares about the grammar? Who cares about how it looks? Who cares what you're writing about? Just write. And if you want to make it prettier later on, okay, make it prettier later on. Maybe you'll write a book someday. So, writing. That was a huge coping mechanism for me. Also, this podcast. I started this podcast this year around, oh man, I should have looked at when my first podcast episode was, but I'm pretty sure it was around February or March. And that was kind of concurrent along with the book publishing, was getting this podcast out there, starting to talk to you guys, the listeners, giving you actionable information that you could use to improve your health and your life and your fitness. And I'm really happy with how far it took it this year. 21 episodes that I released this last year in 2025. I didn't have a set number or anything. I was just like, I'm going to go and I'm going to do it for as long as I can before, schoolwork kind of picks up a little bit more. And I was really consistent there for a while. And I've had a couple breaks in between, but guess what? Just like I'm going to talk to you guys about here in a little bit about New Year's resolutions, I'm right back at it. It's not perfect. There were like a couple months where I went without doing an episode. A couple times went through my head, like, just quit. You haven't published in a couple months, just quit. Like, nobody's listening, whatever. But no, no, not going to quit. I'm going to keep going. It's not going to be perfect, but there's always something I could share with you guys to, help you guys improve your lives or make an impact in the world on some way. So I'm going to keep doing it. And I don't know how many episodes I'm going to release next year or the year after that or whatever, but I enjoy it. It's fun. And it's another form of therapy for me. So, also, I have listeners in 16 different countries. That's wild. I think one of those is Mozambique. I'm like, if you're listening, good sir or ma'am, thank you. Thank you for finding my podcast. You are awesome. I appreciate it. And my favorite was probably Singapore, though, because I was there a few times during my time in the Navy, and I really enjoyed that country. Very clean, um, just a fun country to hang around and see different cultures and everything. Um, so yeah, my got the podcast rolling, and I'm going to keep it rolling. I also wrote and was awarded my first grant for my dissertation project at UNLV. This was the first grant I ever wrote, and I was awarded the grant, which is pretty awesome. I didn't really have any expectations going in. I remember when I started the PhD, I was like, I don't know how to write a grant. What is this? This sounds like completely foreign to me. I have no idea what to do. And then my advisor gave me a scientific writing book, and before I actually started school, and I just started reading through it, and there was grant writing in there. And what do you know? It's broken up into sections, and you got to break it down, very similar to a book. And it was really fun to write. Got the creative juices flowing. Um, and yeah, I was really fortunate to be awarded that. And so all our equipment for my project is paid for. We get to pay our participants, and I'm getting that project rolling right now. We just finished our first participant, working on the second. Um, so super, super fortunate to have that too this year. And recently, I also passed my comprehensive exam to advance to my doctoral candidacy. I talked to you about that in a previous episode. And last but not least, I put all the weight back on that I lost at the beginning of the year, and then some. And it's all healthy weight, and it's a lot of muscle, and it's strength, and it's functional muscle. And I feel amazing. And I PR'd my deadlift by 10 pounds. So I'm at 385 pounds now, lifetime. So looking back at this year, I'm like, it's incredible how if you allow your body and your mind to heal using whatever strategies, productive strategies that you have that I've spoken to you about, you could pick up right where you left off. But when you pick up, your baseline is that much higher. Like you have all this experience to draw on now. You have all the lessons learned, and you can continue living your life and being a better person for it, through all the pain and the suffering that you're dealing with currently. So just remember that whenever you're going through whatever you're going through, that the adversities, you're better off for them. You're not better off just living a safe life without any adversity, without any struggles. I'm not saying you should go like look for them and intentionally put yourself into areas of struggle, but if you find yourself in them, just remember that you can get through them and you can move on. So during the whole process, I started using this year to really, in a word, rediscover myself. So who I am, um, rather than who other people want me to be. And I'm not even close, to be honest. I'm getting there, but I'm figuring it out. Figuring out, how to live with myself, be comfortable with myself, and advance my career and my personal life, um, in a way that's a little different now. So, um, and one of the things I really wanted to do this last year was push myself out of my comfort zone in ways that I haven't before. So this podcast was one of them, and I haven't really been this vulnerable on this podcast up until this. episode. So here we go. So there's another way I push myself out of my comfort zone. And to be honest, being in the marriage and everything, and I don't know, I might at some point um, look for it again, but where I was at in my life, I kind of used it as an excuse to keep myself in a safe zone where I didn't need to push my boundaries as a person outside of that. Or I didn't need to, I could always fall back on that and just say, hey, I'm not going to go out and, talk to people, form stronger relationships, and do things that I'm kind of scared of. So not having that marriage anymore and being by myself, I was able to push those boundaries a little bit more. For example, I started being a lot more intentional about just learning other people's names. And I caught myself so many times in the past just saying to myself subconsciously, or just not making a really, really strong effort to learn people's names because I always told myself, oh, I just suck at it. My memory's not that good. I'm not that great at it. So we'll just kind of kick the can down the road and, it is what it is. Well, the name is the start of a relationship with a person, right? Whether it's a friendship, whether it's intimate, whatever it is, a coworker, people at the gym, whatever. Like, knowing somebody's name and using it frequently, it matters. It really does matter, if you want to eventually open up to people and form stronger connections and really show people that you care. So that was one area in my life that I've really, really struggled with. And I'm still not that great at it, but I'm making an intentional effort to do it. And that's the start, because when I learn names, I'm more comfortable around people, and it matters to me. So, interestingly enough, isn't that big a problem to me when I'm coaching. But when I'm outside of coaching, and I'm not in that character, in that coaching persona, it's a lot more difficult for me, and I have a lot of social anxiety. And that's another struggle that I've been pushing to get myself out of my boundaries in this past year, and to get past and to work on forming those stronger connections. So, that's kind of like my social and personal life, in ways that I've been getting through my struggles. But another way was music. All right, so I dabbled in learning some guitar this last year. So still pretty bad at it, but it's the same thought process as somebody that might have been inactive for a very long time. Maybe you're in that boat and you've been wanting to go to the gym for a long time, and you try exercises and you're not great at them. But do you just quit, or do you continue on if it's that important to you? So I wanted to learn some guitar, at least some chords, and start playing, maybe a song eventually. It wasn't the most important thing to me, but it was another coping mechanism. So this last year I learned 10 chords, and I started learning a strumming pattern for a beginner song. And that song was the Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day. It was one of those I found on YouTube, and I was like, okay, I feel like I can do it. And, so I practice every now and then. It's fun. But I don't know, to wind down in the evening, I kind of enjoy reading a little bit more. So I do that a little bit more. I go for walks a little bit more, but yeah, the guitar's still there, and I'll always have it, to fall back on and use it as a coping mechanism. So, the next way I pushed myself out of my way out of my comfort zone this last year was learning how to line dance. And there's a place called Stoney's, which is here in Las Vegas. It's in Town Square. I was there a lot this last year. And probably 95% of the time I was there by myself. And because I wanted to, for no other reason, because I wanted to. And I felt like if there is a type of dance that I can learn, it's definitely a line dance. I love country music. So I went there a lot by myself, did the free lessons, Fridays, Saturday, whatever it was, by myself. And sure, I met some people along the way too. Talked to a lot of people and, danced with some people as well. But that was probably the topper for me this entire year, was just getting out there and learning how to dance, and especially by myself, because talk about social anxiety, like that's it. That tops it for me. So now I know at least 5 dances, and they're a lot of fun. So if you wanted to get out there and learn some dance, any dance, whatever, if I can do it this last year and learn 5 pretty fast country line dances over at Stoney's, you can do it. All right. So there's really no excuse. And yeah, I plan to keep it going too, because it's a lot of fun. Like, you have to be willing to look stupid, absolutely stupid, but you get past it, And with me, anxiety is always kind of there, so I'm always kind of like, shaking in my boots a little bit. But I do it anyway, because I know when I'm going to learn the dance, I'm going to actually be able to do it, and I'm going to walk out of there feeling very satisfied, and I'm going to have a lot more fun than other people are just sitting around, which was me for a really, really long time. And sometimes, to be honest, it still is, but I'm working on it. All right, so that was the whole point of that, is to tell you that I'm working on getting out of my comfort zone. And speaking of the comfort zone, more recently I've been working on sitting in complete silence, specifically in the evening, sometimes when I'm driving. And this idea came from the book The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter, who is actually a UNLV professor. But the chapter I just read in that book talks all about this, how we're constantly inundated with noise. We either always have music on, or we always have TV on, or we're always looking at our phones, or just something. And we live in noisy, populated areas. And there's never, like, hardly ever a time to just sit in peace and quiet and, like, tranquility, basically. So I started doing this a little bit more frequently. And he says in the book, based on scientific research, it's about 30 minutes where people start to get past that level of discomfort with the silence. And it turns into just peace and relaxation and a reduced amount of stress. And I've noticed this with myself recently. About 15 to 30 minutes in, I'll turn off the TV late at night. I'm in my wind down time. I'm reading my book, and there is nothing, not a noise whatsoever. And it's super uncomfortable at first. I'm like, oh my God, I need something on. I need some white noise or something in the background. But after like 15 minutes, I'm like, holy crap. I actually feel really, really good. I feel relaxed. I'm not as anxious. I don't have as much discomfort. Oh, and I'm sleeping better too. So thank you, Michael. Maybe I'll have you on the podcast someday. And we could talk more about that. But that was a big one for me. That was a big one, and I'm definitely going to keep working on it. So try it yourself. All right, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable in silence, but try it. Right? And, reach out to me and let me know how it worked for you. So to wrap up my year-end reflection, I also read close to 10 other books this last year. So 3 more of those were Irresistible by Adam Alter. That's all about technological addiction and behavioral addiction as it relates to phones, technology, video games, all that kind of stuff. So it was really eye-opening. I wasn't surprised with a lot of it, to be honest, but it was a really good read, and there's some good nuggets towards the back of the book where you can start to combat this constant need for phone in hand, boredom, always need to be doing something on the screen. So that book was really, really good, going hand in hand with the comfort crisis, actually. So, but I also read Dirty Jeans by Dr. Ben Lynch. That was really, really great. Eye-opening stuff. Basically, how your variations in your genetics can predispose you to certain things, like mental health issues or obesity or behaviors that aren't necessarily in your best interest, and how you can test for those genetic variations, and how you can modify your lifestyle, your physical activity, your nutrition, your sleep, all this stuff I already preach about, how you can modify certain things to optimize your genetic profile. So your genes are your genes, right? Your variations are what they are. You can't get rid of that, right? But you can influence how they switch on or switch off based on what are called epigenetic factors, right? So where you live, if you're exposed to pollution, if you're constantly stressed, if you are physically active or not. So your genes aren't your destiny is basically the take-home message of the book. All right, your genes are what they are. You're predisposed to certain things, but you can always influence them and make your situation better no matter what it is. All right, and the last one I really liked reading was How to Be a Stoic by Massimo Pigliucci. And this is a fantastic book for anybody that is completely new to Stoic philosophy and wants to know what it's all about. I'm not going to go deep into it, but Stoic philosophy has helped me so much. It has changed my life for the better, for the rest of my life. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to dig deep into it, but I just want to give you one take-home message about Stoic philosophy before you actually look into it, or you roll your eyes and say, oh my God, I already know what this is about, okay? Stoicism is not an absence of emotions. It is not an absence of emotions. Stoic people, or people that practice Stoicism, still feel emotions, right? You're not a human if you don't feel emotions. It's all about being mindful of your emotions and when they arise, and managing and redirecting them in a way that is productive rather than destructive. Okay, so whether you feel somebody makes you feel angry, how are you going to handle it? Do you even know that you're feeling angry, or are you just instantly responding to them in a way that then makes them angry, and then you get nowhere in the conversation or the interaction or whatever? All right. Or do you handle that anger in a more productive way? Do you recognize that, hey, I'm angry, this is why I'm angry, this is why I'm feeling the emotions, and then you decide, all right, what is a more productive way to handle those emotions to, either foster my relationships or to progress my career or to make sure that I'm continuing to eat well, despite these emotions, that sort of thing. All right. So I feel like people oftentimes get the wrong idea with Stoicism, and that Stoic people are just, they don't have any emotions whatsoever. No, that is not the idea behind it. All right. The idea is to manage the emotions in a more productive way. All right. So before I get into New Year's resolution stuff, I also listened to and watched a ton of podcasts in 2025, and my top 5 podcasts, in no particular order, are Mind Pump by Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer and Justin Andrews, Huberman Lab by Andrew Huberman, The Drive by Peter Attia, the Strength Coach Podcast by Anthony Renna and Mike Boyle, and the High Performance Hockey Podcast by Anthony Donskov, because hockey. All right. So moving on and looking ahead to 2026, and then I'll get into New Year's resolution stuff. So my goals and aspirations: education. I'm going to finish my data collection for my PhD dissertation. I'm going to analyze the data, interpret it, write up my findings, and defend my project sometime in the fall. So I plan to be done in December. However, there is a slight chance it might get pushed to May 2027. Not the end of the world. Not firmed up yet, but we're going to see how 2026 goes. And I'm going to finish and submit a much larger DoD grant proposal next month and hopefully be funded. And that's a little bit of a side project for me, but it's a much larger grant, so that would be cool to get funded for that. And for fitness, in April, that is going to be a fun month. So I'm going to compete in the 2025 Tactical Games in Kingman, Arizona. I don't care where I finish. I really don't. I'm still going to push myself hard. However, I just want to compete in something again and have fun with other people doing similar fitness-related stuff and challenge my fitness in other ways. And also, in April, if the team decides to go, I'm going to play in the 2025 Warrior Classic National Tournament in Dallas. That would be a lot of fun. I really hope they do it because April is just going to be fire for me. It is going to be absolutely awesome if I get to do all that stuff in April. So, and my goals for that are to help them win a championship because we got second last time. So, I mean, nationals will probably be a little bit tougher, but if we could do it, let's do it. And lastly, I want to hit a 400-pound deadlift by the end of the year. And this is not a New Year's resolution. It is a goal. And that leads me to New Year's resolutions. So let's get into that. So, do people make New Year's resolutions anymore? Actually, a lot fewer people than I expected actually make New Year's resolutions based off of surveys. So, survey I found, approximately 3 in 10 Americans made a New Year's resolution in 2024. That's actually not very many. And about 50% of those who do are between 18 and 29 years old. Then the number begins to drop off to 31% for those ages 30 to 49, and drops off even more to 21% for 50 years old and over. So it seems like the older we get, the more we start to figure it out. Or we just get frustrated and stop trying to achieve these goals due to consistent, quote, failures. All right, so let's talk about this New Year's resolution thing again for health and fitness and specifically. New Year's resolutions. Stop making New Year's resolutions. All right, just stop. And why? I have a few reasons why. First one, they tend to be very vague or arbitrary, meaning they're completely random with little or no direction or thought placed behind the New Year's resolution. For example, I want to eat healthier. I want to go to the gym more. I want to lose 30 pounds. Why 30 pounds? What's the reasoning behind that 30 pounds? Is it just because you want to get back to the weight you used to be in your 20s? Is that even a realistic goal or resolution with your current lifestyle? What's different in your life right now that you need to contend with? This is stuff you need to be thinking about. What's different in your life? Do you have kids? Do you have pets? Do you have a busy job? Do you have more time constraints compared to when you were in your 20s? If that's your reasoning behind why you want to lose that weight, which for a lot of people that I've worked with and talked with, it is. Right? They see how they used to be back in the day and they're like, oh man, I wish I could be like that again. Well, you need to come to terms with your current situation, right? You need to be aware of this stuff. Next, if that is your resolution, do you even understand the trade-offs you might need to make to achieve that weight? All right, if you're a guy and you're in your mid 30s or early 40s and you want to get back down to 9% body fat, do you have any idea what that takes? Right? That is not a sustainable lifestyle. It is not a sustainable lifestyle to eat and exercise like that, especially if you have kids and additional responsibilities that keep your time busy. Those are things we have to be aware of. So, if you even are aware of those trade-offs, are you willing or able to sustain those trade-offs for an entire year or a couple years or the rest of your life? Likely not. You likely do not. All right. So, in a sense, you're setting yourself up for disappointment and you've failed that resolution before you even started. All right. So, this relates to my next point here. New Year's resolutions imply that you're only going to work on that resolution for the current year. If you truly want to achieve a healthy body weight and sustain it for the rest of your life, it's not something that ends after the year. All right? So, underlying this New Year's resolution is that idea that I'm just going to work on this for this year. This is what I want for this year. Well, why this year? If you really, really want to be healthy and sustain it, or you want to keep your weight off, it's not just for a year. It's forever. So start getting into that mentality. Right? And also, while you're working on your resolution, if you perceive that you are failing, you will likely stop working on your health until the next year. And the self-sabotaging cycle continues. So think about that for a bit. Say most people stop their resolution around February, right? And you do that and you give up for the rest of the 10 months. What's going on in those 10 months that you can't pick things back up? So you give in for those 10 months and then you try again the next year. And it's just a self-sabotaging cycle. So I want you guys to start thinking about this stuff and changing your mentality around from that New Year's resolution mentality, if you're still making one, right, to more of a sustainable long-term lifestyle approach. So what do you do instead, right, if health and fitness are your goals? First, abandon the resolution if you've already made one, all right? Just abandon the resolution. It's not a resolution anymore, okay? Remove the term resolution from your vocabulary and never use it again. If you haven't made one, that's awesome, all right? But still listen up because the following does apply to you, all right? It applies to you too if you want to achieve something specific that's health and fitness related. So what do? Set a specific goal. It has to be specific, and it should be challenging, and it should scare you a little bit, but it should still be within your reach. So let me give you an example of a goal that's too ambitious. So you set a goal to go to the gym every weekday and complete 5 workouts each week when you've been very inactive for several months or years. So you're basically starting from scratch and you're telling yourself that you are going to go to the gym 5 days a week on the weekdays, Monday through Friday, all right? Likely way too ambitious to start. So think about a goal that's more achievable and then work your way up from there. So one that is more achievable, to go to the gym and complete 2 workouts per week on any day of the week. That gives you flexibility for the next month. And then increase that by 1 day only after you've achieved that goal. All right, so that is still probably pretty tough if you've been completely inactive for a while, but is definitely achievable. And you're rewarding yourself when you've hit those small little victories throughout the month, every single week. Then you can layer a little bit more on top of that. All right. And if you want to lose weight, don't focus on the weight loss as your primary outcome for the first 6 months that you start your new routine. Okay, focus on consistent physical activity long term, and the weight loss will be a byproduct of your consistency. Okay, I know everybody thinks about weight loss first. I got to get this weight off. I got to get this weight off. I get it. 100%. Okay, but if all you're thinking about is the weight loss, the second you start to become inconsistent and you're not seeing that progress with your weight, you are more likely to quit. Okay? So focus on that consistency. The consistency develops results later on. And weight loss, that is a long-term goal. Body fat loss, long-term goal. Right? Focus on behaviors. The behaviors are consistency and getting to the gym regularly. Right? So start thinking about it like that. As you continue on through your physically active lifestyle, there's another thing you should focus on. So you need to be constantly adjusting your actions and expectations based on your life circumstances. Okay, and this is one of the things that I talk about in my book, Awareness Before Action. I call it the APR guideline for obstacles. So the A stands for anticipate, P stands for plan, and R stands for respond. Okay, so we're all living life here. Okay, life has obstacles all the time. You should always anticipate obstacles getting in your way. All right, there is never not going to be some sort of obstacle keeping you from getting to the gym, or keeping you from eating more whole foods, or keeping you from getting a good night's sleep. All right, just get used to anticipating that there will be something standing in your way. And if there's not something standing in your way, that's awesome. All right, you've anticipated it, but it's not. So that makes it feel even better once you get to the gym or you eat that food, all right, that you've been wanting to eat, that healthier food. So we know obstacles are always going to be there. All right, we identify potential obstacles. So one of the things that has always helped me was to, as far as scheduling goes, look at my next day, right, in my calendar. Before I go to sleep or in the evening whenever I'm winding down, I look at the next day, I see what I have going on, I see when I want to do my workout, and I ask myself, what are the potential obstacles that I could run into? All right. So it's Vegas, so weather's not really that big a deal. But if you live in an area where there's weather, all right, check the weather forecast, see if it's going to rain the next morning, all right, if you're trying to leave the house early. Plan for it, all right? Give yourself an extra 10, 15 minutes to get to the gym so that when you're stuck in the rain and everybody in traffic is freaking out and you're going slower than you wanted to, you don't have an excuse to say, oh, see, all these people are going slow, everybody sucks at driving, I'm stuck in this traffic where I should be in the gym. No, it's your responsibility to plan ahead. All right, I'm assuming you're a successful, career-driven person, you have a family, whatever, all right, you know how to plan. Why can you plan for those things but not plan appropriately to get to the gym on time so that you have the full hour or however much you're devoting to get your workout done? Okay, so that's just one example. So think of other examples for yourself. The last is to respond. Okay, sometimes you can have the best plan in the world. All right, you plan to leave the house early, all right, and something happens and there is an accident on the freeway or whatever that is not normally there 99% of the time. All right, so what are you going to do? Okay, are you going to call it quits and miss the gym, or are you maybe still going to go through the traffic, see how it progresses, and maybe you're left with 30 minutes instead of an hour? Okay, what can you get done in 30 minutes? Okay, so once again, that is not a perfect situation, but how do you respond to these obstacles when they happen? Okay, and maybe you do miss your workout, or maybe you do miss your workout. How do you respond the next day? Are you just going to say to yourself, oh, that one day threw everything off for me. I'm just going to not go to the gym anymore this week? No. You go to the gym, you make the plan for the next day. And if you have a shit situation again, well, then deal with it again. All right. If you miss another day, and then keep going. Right. Nothing stops you, or get creative and find another way to get the exercises or similar exercises that you had planned in later that day. Maybe it's at home or something. All right. So keep this APR guideline in mind for yourself, and it will help you deal with those obstacles when they come up. And the final lesson I want to leave you with here to help you have a more successful year with your health and fitness goals is to give yourself some grace. Okay. And that means, just like I said, if you miss a workout, you accept it, you accept the circumstances. All right. And then you move on to the next day and you pick up right where you left off. If you eat something that is not very healthy, right? You're not guilting yourself. You're not shaming yourself. You're simply accepting it. You're accepting the short-term consequences of eating that food, all right? And then your next meal is going to be a whole food or something that promotes health rather than hinders health. Okay, so don't use setbacks as an excuse to quit. Okay, find the silver linings within the situations, accept them without guilt, without shame, and simply go to the gym the following day, eat healthier options the next meal, and simply continue on with your chosen healthy lifestyle. Okay, get rid of the all or nothing mentality. Just let it go. It's not realistic in today's modern society. Unhealthy foods are always going to be around. Other tempting options will win over the gym sometimes. You have to learn how to prioritize your health despite the luxuries of modern living. So prioritizing your health is not about being perfect. What prioritizing your health really means is that you make health promoting decisions most of the time while rolling with the punches and not allowing setbacks to derail your progress. All right, guys. So that's it for today. If you want to learn more about those principles and strategies that you can use to help yourself live a sustainable life, have sustainable weight loss, be strong, be mobile, be resilient, be full of energy, right? Check out my book, Awareness Before Action. It's on Amazon, right? It's on paperback, hardcover, and Kindle. I'll have the Audible book, audiobook coming out later this year. Just check it out. Leave me a review as well, and let me know what you think about it, okay? I guarantee you it's going to help you in one way or another, no matter what your health and fitness goals are, all right? So with that, I want to say thank you guys. I hope you have an amazing 2026. I'm going to continue, working on everything I need to work on to optimize my lifestyle, to get my career to where I want it to be, and to just continue having fun and living life. So the last thing I'll leave you with here is to please follow and rate the show. Introduce it to your friends, family, and colleagues, and also leave comments and suggestions you would like for other topics that I could talk about as I move forward with this podcast. Also, make sure you find me on social media. I'm mostly on Instagram at coach_awolf and YouTube. Please subscribe to my channel and check out all my videos. And I also have the podcast on there as well. That's at Wolfpack Fitness. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for listening, and tune in for the next episode. Take care.